We are ranking the 11 splinter aspects of the God Emperor, a countdown of every psychic fragment that still shapes the fate of the Warhammer 40,000 universe. From subtle whispers guiding Imperial leaders to unthinkable sacrifices that changed history, each entry reveals a piece of the Emperor's divided soul, ranked by its impact on humanity's survival. Some fragments are passive legends, others defend the Imperium every second, and a few hold tragic secrets few fans suspect. Which aspect is truly holding the galaxy together, and which is barely felt at all? Let's begin with number 11, cryptic guidance that still echoes across the Imperium. In the 11th place, the Communicator operates from the shadows of Imperial bureaucracy. The Emperor's Terra is the most famous example, an arcane deck used by sanctioned psychers, inquisitors, and even the High Lords to seek guidance. Each reading is a cryptic puzzle, open to interpretation, and no two are ever quite the same. Servo skulls, those floating mechanical couriers, sometimes deliver messages or omens that officials swear are nudges from the Emperor himself. Then there are the visions, moments of sudden insight or prophetic dreams that have shifted policy or inspired crusades, always just ambiguous enough to be debated for centuries. The truth is, nobody can prove these signs come from the Emperor, but the faith runs so deep that even a shuffled deck or a flicker in a cogitator can steer the fate of worlds. Subtle, indirect, and impossible to verify. That's the Communicator's hallmark. In the 10th place, the Saint-Maker moves on the battlefield through living saints, turning faith into miracles when hope is at its lowest. Saint Celestine is the poster child here. She's been killed, incinerated, and riddled with bolter fire, only to rise again, wings blazing, every single time. Her resurrections aren't just stories. They swing the morale of entire regiments, flipping desperate last stands into Imperial victories. The Ecclesiarchy keeps careful records of these events, calling in miracle audits whenever a saint shows up, because every appearance boosts their political power. For the rank-and-file guardsman, seeing a living saint in action is proof the Emperor is watching, even if nobody can say for sure whether he's guiding their hand or just letting the show play out. The Saint-Maker's influence is dramatic, but it only hits where the saints are, localized, unpredictable, and always surrounded by debate over who's really pulling the strings. In the 9th place, the Soulbinder is the Emperor's aspect responsible for creating Astropaths, the psychic lifelines of the Imperium. Every year, thousands of psychers are brought to Terra and subjected to the soul-binding ritual. The process is brutal. A chorus of Imperial psychers channels the Emperor's will, burning out the candidate's eyes in a flash of psychic fire. Survivors emerge blinded, but forever linked to the Emperor's mind, able to send messages across the stars. These Astropaths form a vast invisible network, relaying orders, warnings, and pleas for help between distant worlds. The Adeptus Astra Telepathica keeps strict quotas, processing psychers at the Scholastia Psychana and ensuring a constant supply. For most, it's a one-way ticket, lifelong service, with the Emperor's touch woven into their souls. Without the Soulbinder, Imperial communication would collapse, but its reach is limited to those who endure the ritual and survive the transformation. In 8th place, the genetic echo is the Emperor's psychic fingerprint left in his greatest creations, the Custodes and the Primarchs. For the Custodes, this bond goes beyond loyalty. They sense his moods, his intent, even his pain, without a single word spoken. It's called silent speech, a kind of empathic link that tells them more than any order ever could. The Primarchs, built from his gene seed, carried a deeper resonance. Each one was a living echo of the Emperor's will, a fragment of his own soul woven into flesh. But when the traitor Primarchs turned against him, the backlash wasn't just betrayal. It was a psychic wound that scarred the Emperor at the deepest level. These fractures didn't just hurt the Imperium, they tore at the very core of his being. The genetic echo is powerful, but it's also fragile, its influence limited to the chosen few, and every betrayal leaves a mark that never truly heals. 7th place. The Dark King is the Emperor's shadow that never took form. A 5th chaos god that could have rivaled Khorne, Nurgle, Tzeentch, and Slaanesh. During the final moments of the Siege of Terra, the Emperor faced a choice: embrace ultimate power and become a god of darkness, or cast aside his humanity to save the galaxy. He chose denial, refusing the throne of the warp, and instead hurling his hope, compassion, and mercy into the immaterium. The End and the Death novels spell it out. Allowing the Emperor to ascend as a true god would have doomed humanity to a new kind of tyranny, one even the ruinous powers feared. The Dark King never manifested, but the cost was catastrophic. A fragment of the Emperor's soul was lost forever, and the threat lingers in the warp as a warning of what could still happen if he ever falters. The Imperium dodged annihilation, but at the price of its last chance for mercy. In 6th place, the cast-out compassion is the Emperor's lost hope, mercy, and love, literally torn from his soul during the final moments of the Siege of Terra. This wasn't just a mood swing or a metaphor. As Horus closed in, the Emperor realized that holding on to compassion would doom humanity. So he cast it out, hurling everything soft and human about himself straight into the warp. Gone, just like that. So he could become ruthless enough to kill his own son and prevent the birth of the Dark King. The act is described like smashing a star-shaped hole through his own being, leaving behind a void where hope used to live. Some say this fragment is the infamous Star Child, drifting in the immaterium, maybe even growing into something new, a lost god of hope or a future rebirth. But for the Imperium, that moment meant the end of any chance at a kinder emperor. What's left is colder, harder, and haunted by what had to be sacrificed. In 5th place, the growing warp god is the Emperor's most ironic fragment, a divine presence in the warp, fed by the faith of trillions who pray to him across the Imperium. This wasn't the plan. The Emperor always rejected Godhood, hammering the Imperial truth into his followers during the Great Crusade. But the ecclesiarchy had other ideas. Over 10,000 years, shrines, cathedrals, and entire worlds have been dedicated to his worship, turning belief itself into a psychic fuel source. Every act of devotion, every martyrdom, every whispered prayer adds to a reservoir of power in the immaterium, slowly forging a god out of the very man who warned against it. The scale is mind-boggling. Millions of worlds, each adding to a tidal wave of psychic energy, with the Emperor's name at the center. Some Black Library novels and codices even hint that his soul is now a rival to the Chaos Gods, an unintentional fifth power in the warp, gaining strength with every ecclesiarchal sermon. The real twist? The Emperor's ascension is driven by the same mass worship he tried to outlaw, creating a paradox where humanity's hope for salvation is also fueling a transformation he never wanted. That's the growing warp god, an existential threat and a promise, all rolled into one. And nobody knows how far this process will go before it breaks the galaxy or saves it. Fourth place, the Anathema is the Emperor's splinter that Chaos fears most. The ruinous powers gave him this name for a reason. His very presence in the warp is agony for demons. Codex entries and Black Library novels describe how his aura is pure, blinding order, a force that disrupts and wounds any warp entity that draws near. There's no need for a sword or a psychic blast. Just existing, the Anathema burns away the fabric of chaos, its touch like acid to the denizens of the Immaterium. Demons who've brushed against this presence report pain so intense it leaves scars on their essence. And some even flee Imperial space entirely when his power is strong. Unlike the Astronomican's active beacon or the Webway warrior's endless battle, the Anathema is passive. An omnipresent shield, not a weapon. It doesn't chase demons or hunt them down. It simply radiates, a constant, galaxy-wide deterrent. This is why the Emperor's enemies whisper about him in terror, and why the forces of chaos treat Terra like a wound that never heals. The Anathema doesn't need to fight to defend the Imperium. Its existence alone is enough to make the warp itself recoil. Third place, the Webway warrior is the Emperor's fragment locked in endless combat beneath the Imperial Palace. While his body sits motionless on the Golden Throne, this Splinter-Aspect fights a war that never stops, holding back the tide of demons clawing at the shattered Webway gate under Terra. The Master of Mankind novel lays it out. If this defense fails, the demonic legions pour straight into the heart of the Imperium. There are no reinforcements, no relief, just the Emperor locked in psychic battle every second of every day for 10,000 years. Custodians who've glimpsed this war describe scenes that would break any mortal mind. Endless waves of warp spawn, reality itself twisting, the Emperor's psychic fire burning through the darkness. Every near breach is a disaster barely averted. If the Webway warrior falters, Terra falls in hours, and the Imperium collapses overnight. This isn't the passive defense of the Anathema or the guiding light of the Astronomican. This is direct, brutal, ceaseless war. One mind holding the line while the rest of humanity sleeps above, never knowing how close they come to annihilation with every passing moment. In second place, the Astronomican beacon is the Emperor's psychic lighthouse, a flame in the warp that guides every Imperial ship across the galaxy. Without it, the Imperium's fleets would be lost in the chaos of the Immaterium, unable to reach distant worlds or supply the front lines. The Astronomican signal isn't just a local phenomenon. It stretches across most of the Milky Way, visible to navigators as a blazing psychic star. Maintaining this beacon is a full-time job. An entire choir of psychers, numbering in the thousands, pour their minds into the effort every hour of every day, all focused through the Emperor's will. When the beacon flickers or dims, whole sectors go dark, and Imperial worlds can be stranded for decades. Blackout events are rare, but when they hit, like during the opening of the Great Rift, entire crusades have vanished and supply lines have collapsed overnight. The range isn't infinite. There are regions where the Astronomican fades and ships have to risk blind jumps or rely on local Astropaths. But for most of the Imperium, the beacon is the only thing standing between order and total isolation. Every navigator, every fleet master, every rogue trader owes their survival to this single relentless psychic effort. It's not a passive light. It's a constant battle against the tides of the warp, demanding focus that never falters. The Astronomican is the Emperor's ongoing labor on a galactic scale. Without it, the Imperium's grip on the stars would snap in an instant. And finally, in first place, the corpse on the throne is the linchpin holding the entire Imperium together. The Emperor's physical body, mummified, fused to the Golden Throne, and barely recognizable as human, serves as the anchor for every other fragment of his being. This isn't just a life support system. It's a psychic engine running on the souls of 1,000 psychers every single day. The black ships of the Adeptus Astra Telepathica scour the galaxy, rounding up sanctioned psychers by the millions each year. Most know exactly what fate awaits them. A one-way trip to Terra, a brief stop at the Scholastia Sicana, and then ritual sacrifice beneath the throne. Their life force is channeled into the Emperor's decaying husk, feeding the Astronomican, powering the Webway seal, and keeping the last flickers of his mind tethered to reality. The Adeptus Mechanicus treats the throne like a relic from a lost age, half machine, half god, and mostly a mystery. No one alive understands its core technology. Tech priests perform endless rituals, patching leaks, replacing burnt-out servitors, and praying that the ancient mechanisms hold for just one more day. The truth is grim. If the throne's core module fails, there's no fixing it. The best minds on Mars can only delay the inevitable with half-understood rites and scavenged parts. There have been desperate attempts to seek help, even from the Drukhari of all races, but nothing has restored the throne's original function. Every day it grinds on, the Emperor's body growing more inert, the machinery groaning under the strain, and the line between maintenance and superstition blurring into one. The question of consciousness is the ultimate riddle. Some claim the Emperor dreams, sending out visions or single-word answers, like the infamous no to Robut Guilliman. Others say he's nothing but a psychic echo, his will scattered among the fragments that keep the Imperium from collapsing. Petitioners gather in the throne room, praying for signs, but most leave with nothing but silence, flickering candles, or a sudden chill that might be divine, or just the draft from a dying machine. This is the single-point failure of the entire Imperium. If the corpse on the throne ever truly dies, the Astronomican goes dark, the Webway breach under Terra bursts open, and demons flood the heart of humanity's empire. There's no backup plan, no secret successor, no hidden technology waiting to be activated. Everything, every miracle, every fragment, every hope depends on this one decaying anchor. The Emperor's body is all that stands between humanity and the abyss, and every day the cost grows steeper. In the end, the corpse on the throne isn't just a symbol of sacrifice. It's the last fragile thread holding back the end of everything. Across all 11 splinter aspects of the God Emperor, we have traced a journey from cryptic whispers and battlefield miracles to the monumental reality of the corpse on the throne. The most shocking revelations come from the Emperor's own choices, casting out his compassion to resist becoming the Dark King and watching faith transform him into the very God he once denied. Patterns emerge. Each fragment serves a unique function, from guiding ships across the stars to holding back demonic annihilation beneath Terra. Yet all are bound by loss, sacrifice, and unintended consequences. The ranking makes clear that every aspect, no matter how subtle, is vital, but it is the throne itself that anchors Imperial survival. This list reveals that the Emperor's fragmentation is both the Imperium's greatest strength and its core tragedy. His divided soul powers humanity's defenses, but may also doom it to stagnation. In the end, the God Emperor is not one being, but a constellation of living burdens, sacrifices, and paradoxes, each essential yet forever incomplete.